If you've been here before, you're probably wondering, why is this guy back? Those of you who've seen my last video are aware that I stopped playing Halo a couple of years ago, but if you are new here, in short, I played Halo for a long time, became jaded with 343's constant shenanigans, and finally quit when Halo Infinite's dismal quality sent me over the edge. And honestly, I don't think I've been missing out. I don't really miss playing Halo or think about it much, but I can't help but notice the current state of things with Halo lately. Since I've stepped away, Halo Infinite's development has winded down considerably, and whispers of a new Halo game have already started. Now that I've had enough time away from the franchise, I have some things I'd like to say as an outsider looking in and looking ahead. With all the rumors, misinformation, heated debates, and tension within the fandom, I feel like I should set the record straight on several things. In this video, I want to outline the 3 most important things developers should focus on for the upcoming Halo games, whether 343 makes them or not. I may have already spent countless hours criticizing 343 management and Microsoft in the past, but that absolutely does not mean I'll spare them now. I won't go over every single detail of their fumblings the past couple of years because I don't want this video to be 12 hours long. 343 might be completely out of chances at this point, but this is just an opportunity to examine Halo's shortcomings over the years and how they can potentially course correct by learning from these mistakes. Maybe they'll do the right thing and maybe they won't. That's not up to me. I'm just here to give my insights and opinions from the lens of a 20-year matchmaking tryhard. And I am here strictly to talk about the online experience in Halo. I'm no game dev, but if you've played Halo as long as I have, then you've probably noticed the things I'm going to bring up. With all that in mind, let's get started. So, what exactly has changed in the past couple years regarding Halo? Well, I'll download Halo Infinite, play a few games, record my POV, and find out. Let's boot up. Wow. Alright, not doing that again. I didn't think it was legitimately possible, but this game might actually be worse now than it was when I quit a couple years ago. Jeez, man. Trying to be constructive in this video is gonna be a fucking chore. I ain't gonna hear any revisionist history from anyone either. Some of you would have me believe that Halo Infinite was the second coming of Half-Life 2. Seriously, some of you sound like my local gas station fentanyl addict when you talk about Halo Infinite. And don't worry, we'll get to Infinite gameplay later. Speaking of things that did everything late, I won't even bother with MCC. I've seen enough Twitch clips to know better. Whatever, man. Anyways, let's move on. Since 343 has shifted the vast majority of its remaining resources towards developing future Halo titles, let's talk about what we know thus far. We know Bonnie Ross, Kiki Wolfkill, and Franco Racist are out the door. So, good start. Pierre Heinz, the man who led the MCC's post-release fixes, is the new head of 343 Industries. And allegedly, Halo's new home will be on Unreal Engine 5. 343 are rumored to be releasing 2 new Halo games in the future. One of the rumored games is meant to be a Halo Combat Evolved remake, and another may or may not be the long-discussed Certain Affinity Halo project. Or Halo 7. I don't know, man. Look, you didn't hear that from me. Let's get one thing straight. I'm not the news. I ain't the fucking Halo paparazzi. I'm just here to give my thoughts. I don't even know how much I'll personally play a new Halo game, and I don't care what the next game is as long as we don't get Halo Infinite 2. I just want it to be good. Beyond all this, things have been pretty bleak. The franchise feels like it's reaching new lows every month. If I had to summarize how Halo has been run lately with one image, Slim Haley probably put it best with this. And trust me, you ain't seen nothing yet. Just wait until the HCS concludes and is done carrying Infinite on its back. With that said, what exactly is there to look forward to? Is there any hope for 343 to make a satisfactory Halo game? In this regard, things aren't all doom and gloom. I do want to say that 343 have had a small record of doing some things right. Leading up to the release of Halo Infinite, the Master Chief Collection received multiple sizable updates such as a PC port, new ranked playlists, a match composer, EXP progression, firefight, tons of new free content, and blah 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 much more. Even Halo 5 introduced a major sandbox update, rotational playlists, and a few other bits and pieces. But, and this is a big but, this is 343's biggest problem in my opinion. These updates and fixes were post-launch additions to each of their games, sometimes several years down the road. The studio literally never released a polished product at launch. Here are some examples. Halo 4 launched with less features than Reach, no file browser, no CSR ranks, and a useless BR. Halo 5 didn't even launch with BTB or Forge, and the game's weapon tuning wasn't finalized until 2 years after the launch. MCC was obviously released with more problems than a $500 car off of Craigslist, and Infinite hit the market with less features than fucking Pong. Eventually, each of these games added the necessary features to please the remaining player base, all 42 of them, but the lesson was seemingly learned, even if pretty late. So it wasn't totally crazy to think that 343 could have implemented most or even all these features into Infinite at launch. But we all know how that went down. Down the toilet. So, what should 343 do then? According to them, they aren't going to stop making Halo games. And as tragic as that news is, this leads me to my next point. There are certain criteria that are non-negotiables for launching well-made Halo games. These are the 3 things I firmly believe 343 needs to focus on for them to not fuck up another launch.
Last man standing.
1. 343 needs to stop jumping around between tasks and focus on one thing at a time. They need to put full focus into developing a proper mainline series game under its new leadership and actually stick the landing for once. And that means we don't need fucking spin-offs. Yet. Look, I get it. I'm not talking about trash mobile games. I know most of you want an ODST 2 or a Flood horror game to run around on. And that's perfectly fine. But the timing isn't right. 343 as a studio is less stable than an influencer shitcoin at the moment. They're still adjusting under new leadership, the franchise is down the aforementioned toilet, and we're years out from a new mainline entry in the series. For the time being, we're stuck with them no matter how many times you tweet #Fire343. So what makes you think a brute dating app spinoff is going to bring Halo back from the depths of hell? It won't. As much as I want it to. Once the franchise finds its footing with a properly executed mainline game, the door can then open for spinoffs. Or, just commission another studio to work on spinoffs. At 343, all hands need to be on deck to work on a main entry in the series. Quit with the contractors and... Wait. Phil. Why do you hate us so much? So, what should 343 focus on then? It's not as complicated as you'd think. For starters, maybe launch a fully functioning and base content complete game. I know. These are some genius level concepts. If 343 wants to mix things up and do something different, they should try releasing a game that works properly day one. I don't know. That'd be a surprise. Personally, I'm tired of this "it's better than nothing" attitude towards Halo. The next Halo needs to function cohesively at launch and contain core features iconic to Halo. For starters, give us service records, Forge, an adequate amount of maps, a variety of ranked and social playlists, EXP progression, unrestricted player customization, a polished and presentable ranking system, firefight, community features like file and customs browsers, and a new big game mode. Think Warzone or BTB 2.0. The bar is extremely low considering everything I've listed is literally just a pre-existing feature previous Halo games had at launch or added in at some point. I'm not even biased either. I hated BTB 2.0 and Infinite, and I didn't really give a shit about Warzone on H5. The fact is, implementing all the popular pre-existing core features day one is not a big ask, especially since the modern gaming landscape is as competitive as it is. Halo is no longer just competing with other FPS games. The gaming industry is rife with games looking to take a slice of the pie. 343 Industries need to capture their audience day one and hook them day one. There is no time to play catch up and no time to course correct post-launch. 343 is not some tiny dev team working out of a shed either. They've had all the proven concepts and adequate resources at their disposal. So, whether 343 makes new Halos or someone else does, they need to deliver a polished product at launch. End of discussion. Also, holding 343 accountable and to a decent standard should not be controversial. Stop giving these guys so much damn leeway. But look, I can hear what you critics are saying.
What the fuck?
No, not
fucking
that.
Damn it!
You're saying, Legitski, you want 343 to make a more traditional Halo game because you're a boomer. You just want to be discriminatory and toxic and relive the same old Halo experiences from your past. Yeah, I'd never do that. But this does bring me to my next point.
Bomb arm.
2. 343 needs to have a clear vision for their next game and a well-planned roadmap for their content pipeline. Now, this seems pretty self-explanatory, but you would be shocked to hear some of the horror stories from 343's tumultuous development of Halo Infinite. I'm not going to deep dive into this cesspool, but basically, it's well known at this point that 343 had no real concrete plan for what they wanted Infinite to be. At varying points in the game's production cycle, the studio was split between different factions, working on wildly different versions of the game with no connection to each other whatsoever. Everything ranging from indirect successors to previous Halo titles to a full-blown hero shooter was worked on. This is the development equivalent of drunk driving, and guess what? The end result was an absolute waste of years of development time and money. We got a horrible end of product, and frankly, I never want to see anything like this happen with Halo again. 343 management needs to completely expel this throw shit at the wall and see what sticks methodology. It didn't work for Halo 4 and Halo 5's industry copycat strategy, and in the case of Halo Infinite, the result was literal feces thrown at the wall. Halo's greatest strength during its heyday was its unique identity. Halo didn't want to be anything but Halo. It didn't emulate COD, it didn't copy Titanfall or Destiny, it didn't try to be Overwatch, and it didn't try to be whatever the fuck this is. Ah, Halo. What have they done to you, my boy? And don't even get me started on this free-to-play shit. 343 literally had no clue how to manage their content pipeline, and it resulted in multiple months-long content droughts that decimated the player population. Many of their tactics have been derivative, unimaginative pig shit, and I get secondhand embarrassment even thinking about it. It's an objective statement that Bungie's Halos were more on par with what a Halo game is and should be, because they're the ones who established Halo's identity. Fuck, man. I'm not even trying to make this a 343 versus Bungie video. But it's deeply obvious what Bungie did right when you compare it to all the things 343 has done wrong over the years.
Killjoy.
3. And this is a hot one, but 343 should not overcomplicate gameplay because gameplay alone isn't the bottom line for what makes a Halo game good or bad. Look, I've talked to a lot of you people over the years, and I'm just gonna keep it a buck. A few of you guys have some faded ass takes on Halo. Some of you still live in 2001 and think Halo peaked with CE. Some of you unique folks think Halo Infinite is the gold standard now. I have my own preferences, and everyone else sort of falls somewhere in between. And this is fine. We all will never unanimously agree on what ideal Halo gameplay should be. Halo has varied in that respect far too much over the years. But if you pinpoint Halo's downfall on one specific movement mechanic, then that's up to you. I personally have a less categorical view of things because, beyond strictly gameplay, the 343 Halo titles were so badly made and flawed across the board that boiling the core issue down to sprint doesn't tell the full story. I am fully aware of Sprint's negative impact on map design, but you can't convince me this alone is enough to completely derail Halo as a franchise. I mean, damn man. When I was playing MMR hell matches, suffering from game crashes, matching cheaters, and spending hours searching without finding a single game, I wasn't exactly blaming Sprint for it. Now, on the flip side, I believe Halo's past gameplay success was due to its simplicity. If I had to make my own suggestion to 343, I'd tell them to stop overcomplicating gameplay. Every mechanic they add has specific implications to the way a Halo game plays, sometimes dramatically. If you keep the formula simple, you have less opportunities to fuck things up. And let's face it, 343 has done enough of that already. I know. I literally had to live through this. So whether the next Halo has Sprint or not, it won't be the make or break variable that determines the success of the game. Either way, it wouldn't stop me from playing, but I understand if it would you. At the end of the day, gameplay is important, but nailing the player experience, content availability, and overall quality is what keeps people sticking around post-launch. If the rumor of a modernized CE remake really is anything to go by, then maybe a middle ground approach could work. Maybe. Take the gameplay on screen for example. Here, I'm playing Halo 5 CE throwback playlist in a 4v4 team match. In these settings, you played CE maps with CE weapons, but with all the Halo 5 movement mechanics available. It was just a limited playlist and it was pretty unrefined, but it was enjoyable to play because the heavy-handed Halo 5 mobility mechanics were subdued by the powerful 3-shot pistol. Mistakes were punished, and moving around too quickly would easily get you killed. As an enjoyer of both classic and modern Halo gameplay, I had fun. Now relax, put your fucking pitchforks down. I'm not saying the next Halo should be like this necessarily. But, given the recent rumors, it isn't unreasonable to assume that a CE remake would be more like a modern interpretation of the original game. And speaking of modern gameplay, it's time to address the elephant in the room. Halo Infinite. Oh boy. So, as a competitive player, I would honestly prefer 343 does not carry Halo Infinite's gameplay philosophies into future main titles. The movement mechanics like fast sliding and zero strafe acceleration literally force the map design. The AR is way too powerful and dictates the pace of play, and the gameplay overall is a half-baked, made-by-committee experience. And no, bro, Halo Infinite gameplay does not invoke the same feel of classic Halo in any regard. Halo Infinite resembles classic Halo as much as I resemble Margot Robbie. Truthfully, Halo Infinite just plays like a breach simulator at any level, intermediate or higher. Everyone in ranked matches just stands outside of doorways and choke points. The casual perspective is deeply important, but most of the things I mentioned plus strict hidden MMR make playing Infinite casually unfun and too sweaty as well. And that's without addressing desync, blank shots, unstable servers, and performance issues. So take notes, 343, don't go crazy trying to overcomplicate gameplay. Just take your time and flesh things out. Just give us fun things to do, let us do fun things with our friends, give us a reason to do the fun things, and we'll all be happy. This is the foundation of the positive feedback loop that keeps gamers coming back again and again and again. Reference this chart I made for more information. I forgot to make a chart. So, what's my point with all this? I understand game development has gotten harder and harder over the years. It clearly isn't 2004 anymore. But for the love of Christ, making a good Halo game should not be rocket science. Why? Because 90% of the groundwork has been laid out already. And I'm not just talking about Bungie's work on the franchise. Even a company with as disappointing a track record as 343 Industries has shown that they are occasionally able to implement and even upgrade fan-favorite modes and features in their Halo games. They've shown multiple times they have a rudimentary understanding of what is crucial to the player experience and player retention. But fuck me, man, they almost always do it too late. So even when 343 does do something right, it always feels cheap, disingenuous, and unearned. And for whatever baffling reason, they always seem to completely forget all this whenever they release a new Halo game. It's as if 343 management gets blackout drunk before they plan out a new Halo game and don't remember any of the work they've done prior. Damn, man. That sounds fun. Invite me next time. Looking back through the years, I'd be lying if I said that the Bungie era of Halo games were perfect. They had their own minor issues as well. But in comparison to the problems with modern Halo, I'd say those issues were negligible in the grand scheme of things. With Pierre Hintze taking the helm of 343 Industries and the old guard of management finally fading away, maybe there is a chance for Halo. Only time will tell. You know, since things are probably going to be slow for a while, I'm confidently still done with Halo. I don't plan on playing or really keeping up with it much. And from what I can tell, a lot of you feel the same way I do. But to make this video, I had to dig through hours of my old live gameplays I saved. It was a nostalgic trip reliving those games I played with my friends through every Halo. And the biggest thing I noticed is, I had a blast playing the 343 Halos on a number of occasions. The original trilogy, I had a blast every single time I loaded up. That made me realize that Halo's biggest impact on me was how it made me feel. There's just something about the way those games used to evoke enthusiasm and excitedness from me. And I know there were plenty of others who felt the same way. So out of everything I've said today, if there's one thing I want most from a new game, it's this. I just want to play a new Halo that makes me feel something again.